Hey everyone, welcome to Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast. This podcast is all about farmers markets. Whether you're a farmers market manager or a small farmer, food maker, or artisan selling at farmers markets, you have found just the right podcast.
I'm Kat Fields-White.
And I'm Bridget Myers. We're longtime farmers market managers, educators, and consultants. Get ready to catch up on all things farmers market pros with us. Today we're talking with Jimmy DeBiasi of the Maine Federation of Farmers Markets about their bumper crop statewide gift certificate program.
Today's episode of Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast, is supported by American Farmland Trust, protecting farm and ranch land to help foster a new generation of farmers. Your membership helps promote healthy food and a better climate for all of us. For more information about all of their programs to keep farmers farming, click the American Farmland Trust logo on the resource page at farmersmarketpros.com. Remember, no farms, no food.
Welcome back to Tent Talk. Today we're joined by Jimmy DeBiasi, Executive Director of the Maine Federation of Farmers Markets. He's here to share with us about their organization's innovative gift certificate program that brings a bumper crop of shoppers to farmers markets throughout their state. Welcome to Tent Talk, Jimmy.
Thanks so much for having me.
I think that's the cleverest name, bumper crop. Yeah, who came up with that one?
How did we come up with it? We got a USDA grant in late 2019 and worked with a creative agency here in Maine called Pica, and they gave us a list of awesome names, and that one stood out above the rest.
Yeah, we love it. Cute and clever and quippy, and I want to know more about it, which we're going to shortly on this episode. But first, if you want to give us just a little kind of professional background about how you came to be involved with the Maine Federation of Farmers Markets.
Sure. Yeah. I studied food systems and environmental studies at the University of Vermont and graduated in 2011. And since then have really pursued what I would just broadly call community agriculture work. I had founded a short-lived online farmers market in Kirksville, Missouri, when I was an AmeriCorps Vista there, and just continued to work in and around nonprofits and food systems work. And then in 2017, my partner and I were moving to Maine, and there was an opening at the Maine Federation of Farmers Markets to be their SNAP program coordinator. So that's how I got my foot in the door with this wonderful organization. And in 2019, when the former director left, I took the role as executive director.
Nice. So kind of a more of a straighter shot right into the farmers market world. Sometimes we talk to people that come from like really opposite environmental corporate backgrounds, but it sounds like you've always had a little passion for this work, and starting an online farmers market, that sounds right up that alley in agriculture work. So nice. So you've been with the MFFM. It's like I remember that acronym for a little while.
Yep.
Why don't you tell us about that organization? Like what's the core of that organization there?
Sure. Yeah. So the Maine Federation of Farmers Markets, MFFM, I would liken us to, as many states have, right? We are the State Farmers Market Association here in Maine. We were founded in the 90s by farmers themselves. And so for the first few decades of our existence, we were volunteer run, pretty much oriented around just like bringing people together at a state convention and just talking about farmers markets, sharing resources, and kind of combining resources for publishing where farmers markets are in Maine. So in the 90s, there were about 30 farmers markets in Maine. Fast forward to today. And this year, by our count, there's about 95 summer farmers markets in Maine and another 30 to 35 winter, or some that run through that duration. The Federation kind of got a new, began anew, I would say, around 2011 when we got a USDA FMPP grant that allowed us to hire our first staff person. Since then, we've been doing a lot of capacity building. At our core, our website is mainefarmersmarkets.org. Like we host a lot of information, a lot of resources about starting a market in Maine and supporting markets throughout Maine and promoting them with our database. You can find a market by day, by location. And then, in around 2015, 2016, there's a lot of energy mobilized around low-income food access and the bonus bucks programs. As you all know, we worked with Wholesome Wave and some state partners and regional partners and began the Maine Harvest Bucks program. which is our statewide nutrition incentive that we administer at 45 farmers markets across Maine. Also, another 20 to 30 farm stands. We are now filling the void and supporting farm stands and bringing the bonus bucks program there. So, for the vast majority of my time at MFFM, low income food access has been our primary focus, supporting markets and getting that off the ground. We've definitely evolved in how we do that, which I could go into a lot of detail about, but I'll hold off unless we think that way. We continue to host an annual convention. We also have been developing over the last 3 years a winter market manager training focused on conflict at farmers markets. We're doing that with Farmers Market Coalition, NOFA Vermont, and some great local just support in the community mediation realm and just farmers market expert realm. So we've got our hands on a lot of pots. Of course, we're going to talk about bumper crop, so I won't mention that yet. And yeah, I liken us to just being so markets in Maine. A unique thing about farmers markets in Maine are the vast majority of them are run and organized and managed by volunteers who are also vendors at that market, oftentimes farmers. So they're wonderfully efficient and very low resourced. So we are, continuing to figure out ways to better support them, including offering fiscal agency and sponsorship for the SNAP programs. We now hold 20 SNAP finesse licenses, and we're cutting over 500 checks a month now. We're kind of becoming a bank for the low-income food access programming happening at markets.
Yeah, so I was wondering about that when you said you'd help administer the harvest bucks or the SNAP programs with these markets. So you hold the license, and then those terminals are on site with the farmer volunteer, whoever's running that market itself, and they are doing the transactions on site, and then you're doing like the paperwork part and the reimbursement part and on the back end.
To some degree, we're doing that for about 20 markets, and some of those people on site are actually on our payroll. It really depends on the market size and the resources we've been able to cultivate. Right? Like, did we get a $5,000 grant for that market? Then we can pay that info booth person. And is there sales volume high enough to justify paying someone? So the license is in our name. We have this amazing, would love to show and tell this sometime, just spreadsheet system for they're reporting their sales in the back end, and we are efficiently able to cut checks and reimburse vendors. It's about 180 vendors that we're reimbursing biweekly right now. And there's vendors, so that's just for 20 markets. There's another 25 farmers markets that still do the books in-house. The FNS number is in their name, that license is in their name. So for all of these markets, so we have a GUSNIP grant as part of a regional cohort. So it's really Farm Fresh Rhode Island that holds that grant. So there's a GUSNIP grant that helps fund our Harvest Bucks program. And we also have had some recent legislative success in Augusta with some state funding to support the Harvest Bucks program as well. But we are kind of the bank for that program and the redemption that happens there. We've also just piloted, I should give this a mention, in partnership with our State Department of Ag. We're doing Senior Farm Share now as a market-wide program at 10 markets historically in Maine. And I think this is different than how it exists elsewhere in the country. But in Maine, it's always been sign up with the farmer, get a $50 credit that the farmer has to track, and some challenges with that system that we're now trying to at least expand the models that can exist in the state of Maine. So we're now owning that and helping to administer it at markets.
Wow.
That's awesome. You've got a pretty robust match, right? With your program. What do you match there?
We currently match 1-to-1 with no limit.
Wow.
Last year it was 50%. Yeah, last year was a 50% match. Maine is a smaller state, but it just goes a long way. There's a lot of food insecurity in Maine. And we're really grateful we're able to do it. And it definitely is transforming a lot of markets, right? There's markets where it's 10 to 20% of their sales any given day. So it's allowing markets to grow and support more businesses. And it's feeding a lot of households.
That's amazing. Are you part of this conversation that's floating around about decentralizing the whole EBT program and the USDA kind of trying to get the farmers to take it at their own tables?
Um, I have been invited. I'm notoriously not that good at showing up for like the bigger like national conversations around it, but I'm definitely curious and monitoring it and a little terrified for that. Um, I've just yet to see great tech solutions to this. And yeah, just putting another thing on the farmers scares me. I mean, I'm always open to it, but we have um EWIC in Maine now, and they tried to do a tech solution with apps for it, and yeah, it just hasn't gone well. And I think like, you know, we're still really building a culture of an info booth at markets in Maine. Especially when markets are volunteer run, the info booths can be super helpful, but also they're pretty low resourced too. It's like a volunteer who's really just there for the SNAP program. And we see an opportunity, and we are really trying to invest in like growing the info booth, get a kids program in there, have it be the senior farm share program as well. And like, I think it would be pulling the rug out from under us with all of this investment and systems building we're trying to do at info booths to see SNAP get decentralized. And I think it will just be a major loss for the farmers and the
Yeah,
shoppers.
I agree. I think it's a terrible
Yeah.
idea.
I agree as well. And then it just scatters the information too, because then it's the farmers having to explain how it works, and all the stuff that we do in our info booths is then on the shoulders of the farmer while they're trying to sell their crops. And yeah, that
I just
just,
think many of them will decline to
yes.
participate, and then you're creating a user experience for the customers where
Oh
they're
yeah.
going from booth to booth and being told no intermittently
Yeah.
at various booths. And they've totally left, in this whole concept, they've totally left the idea of non-farm vendors out.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Right. A
yeah,
baker is never going to be able to do that. And meanwhile, you know, at some of our markets, a baker is getting a
Same.
substantial amount of SNAP
Same.
sales,
Yeah.
which is wonderful. And, you know, with WIC, we're seeing, I mean, the language barriers, we're seeing farmers drop out of it, but never mind the language barriers. It's just like really not advancing equity goals and leading to a lot of farmers are just like, here, take the food, right? Like they've done their shopping, they're trying to check out the transaction's not processing. So they just like are giving away food free, which is what they've always done.
It's not in the
Yeah,
best interest of the farmers, and not
no,
yeah.
serving the people they think that they're serving when
that
they do
need
things like
food.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This isn't really why we had you on today,
Yeah.
but I think it's an important conversation. And because you really do such a good job of managing and supporting that program in Maine for all of those markets and farmers, thank you for kind of chiming in on that as well.
Yeah.
So what we really asked you here to talk about
Yeah.
was bumper crop, which is a really innovative program, very unusual.
Oh, showing us the bucks. Oh, I love that.
Look at
Yes.
that bumper crop buck. That's amazing. So in general, what's that program about? It's a gift certificate program, right? That's good at more than one market.
Yeah. And we've created a universal, there's so much to say,
Yeah.
but I'll start with yes. It is effectively a universal gift certificate that can be spent at currently 55 farmers markets in Maine. It comes in $5 denominations only, and there's a lot to unpack with that. So the primary way we have put this gift certificate into circulation, and this year there's over $350,000 of it in circulation in Maine.
Wow.
Wow.
So we use it as a tool or as a solution for what is commonly referred to as workplace wellness programs or an employee appreciation program. So we approach employers and we say, do you want to, do you have a workplace wellness program, or do you want to give back to your employees, which in COVID, post-COVID days is like very, very much on people's mind. Like, do you also want to support local farms and small businesses and local farmers markets? And they say yes to those things. And we say, well, with the same dollar, you can do both by giving them these farmers market gift certificates that can be spent at over 50 markets across Maine. A huge selling point, let me just get to the chase, is that employers will order $10,000 of bumper crop. They are $10,000 worth of these gift certificates. They're only on the hook for what is spent at the market. We do that pretty simply. When an employer orders gift certificates, we assign them a 2-letter code that is printed on all of the vouchers. Like this one says FM. FM is one of our codes. If an FM voucher is redeemed at a market, we know it's an MFFM voucher. FM is a voucher code we use for giveaways. So like we might give it to shoppers that like submit a photo during a photo contest or something. So every employer has a unique 2-letter code. Markets are collecting them and reporting them back to us through a simple Google form that lists all of these vendor codes alphabetically. And then we know how much was redeemed at that market, what date, whatever date they're reporting, and where the vouchers came from, employer by
Wow.
employer. So that's how I think I should pause there. I could keep going, but I feel like this probably
Well, and I have a couple
question.
questions since we jumped right into redemption. I had a lot of
Yeah.
questions about that. So,
Yes.
um, why did you choose? Why is it set up where you only pay for them as they're redeemed
Sure.
versus the average gift certificate in the world? I mean, Starbucks, you pay for that gift certificate and they don't care if anybody ever uses it or not. In fact, they probably prefer they don't. So, why did you make that choice?
Oh yeah. I'd be in a nicer house right now if we
Little
models.
margin,
Um,
those unredeemed ones. So, why did you
yeah.
choose that way? Is it make it an easier sell,
Mhm.
or I'm
I would argue it definitely makes it an easier sell. And in Maine, when there's not too many big businesses in Maine, really just wanting it to be the best value for the employer, right? Like I think they come back year after year because they know they're only paying for the food that their employees are buying at the farmers market. So I think I stand by it. I'm I'm in conversation with other states about running this program, and they're considering setting some bars, right? Like you got to at least pay 50% of whatever you order, and that, there's definitely room for improvement or just adjustments there that we may do someday. But I definitely stand by the idea of employers only paying for what is actually redeemed. And I do think it helps sell it a lot. There's, and someday we might set some thresholds too. Like there'll be an employer that's like, we'll just take $200, and we send it to the printer. We quickly design it, send it to the printer. Printer ships it to them. It's a pretty well lubricated machine now, and it's $200 more in the local food economy. But more importantly, the message we tell the farmers, and that I think farmers agree with, is that it's not so much about the gift certificate as it's about the new people coming to the farmers markets, which we could dive into. But it's giving somebody, it's giving, yeah. There's so many things.
Yeah, I mean, you're creating
um,
exposure to the idea of shopping at farmers markets. If they've given them enough of them, they're obviously that's a big chance to develop a farmers market shopping habit because once they get there and taste the difference, of course, they're likely to come back. It's getting them there the first time
right.
that's tough. And while I think that, I mean, my first thought when I was reading about this was, wow, how complicated does that make it in terms of accounting? I guess the beauty of it, though, is that you have a priceless way to collect data because you're finding out from, I mean, obviously, in order to get paid, those markets have to submit information on how many were redeemed and for what companies. And that kind of data is, I mean, is just golden in terms of applying for other funding and this and that. How long does it take most companies to pay? How often do you bill them and how long does it take them to pay you?
Sure. It really depends on the company size. Like right now, we're working with credit union. It's called Five County Credit Union. They gave $100 to 130
Nice.
employees,
Yeah.
which
Wow.
is amazing. Definitely the biggest giveaway in terms of like amount to an employee over that scale. And it was at multiple branches. So we have like 16 different codes for this one employer. And on a monthly basis, we're invoicing them because that's like over $13,000 that otherwise we are fronting. So for the bigger employers, we're definitely invoicing or even asking for an advance. If it's something like over $20,000 in distribution, we'll ask for maybe like a 25% advance on it. And but for smaller employers, really just for our sake, for our time, we're trying to wait till the end of the season. Like if it's under $1,000 or just a couple $1,000s, and it also depends on our cash flow for the year. But lately we've been fundraising so much for our Maine Harvest Bucks program because of like ongoing funding uncertainties as grants end and other grant proposals, are waiting to hear back on. We've built up a bit of a cash reserve, so yeah, to some degree, we're able to cover those costs and wait till the end of the season to invoice.
Yeah, so to have that little float. I mean, and that's huge in terms of you doing this in a centralized way. Obviously, individual markets most likely don't have that capacity. They don't have the cash flow or the reserves where you can float this kind of a thing. It's really I am impressed that you've gotten so many people to participate, such a bunch of markets, for a couple reasons we'll talk about in a minute. But also,
Sure.
I just can't imagine this working without having a central point of organization like yours in accounting and billing.
Yeah, I have a few thoughts on that. I think it started with one employer, the city of Bangor, who like in years past, prior to 2019, would give their employees $20 gift certificate to
Oh,
an orchard. And that design was not ideal for a few reasons. Like people who live in the city of Bangor, I mean, who work in the city of Bangor may live in any direction, right? Like 30 to 50 miles away, especially in Maine, in rural Maine. So by when they partnered with us, we got kind of like 10 markets in the greater Bangor area to join, and they all saw redemption. There's a lot of value in the markets cooperating because we exist, because Maine has a state organization and we were the ones that invented it. It naturally fell in our lap. But, and, really, like the city of Bangor reached out to the Bangor market, right? And the Bangor market, we had a board member at that market. They connected us. And we were like, this is a cool idea. Like, here's how, that's when the idea of like, they're like, do we have to buy them outright or could we report, could we just pay? Like, the idea kind of stemmed from that one partnership. Um, it was easy enough. Like, we just, because we were founded by farmers in the farmers market community, like we have good relationship and trust. And because of the service specs program that we already have financial working relationships with so many markets in Maine, it was actually pretty easy. It's like, hey, another currency might come in, right? You might get another currency. It looks like this. Like, here's how we're trying to keep this as easy as possible for you to report. Some markets will just mail them to us, like individual vendors at markets will mail it. We just know from their return address on the envelope who we're sending a check to. And we do the kind of the voucher reporting on the back end for them. So we've really tried to keep it as light of a lift as possible. And I will say, like a city could do this, right? Like a city run, like there's organizations like Mass Farmers Markets that like runs multiple markets in the Boston area, I believe. So like they could run it for their market network, or like there's different scales that this could work, this type of model. It doesn't have to be statewide.
yeah, and I mean, one of the things that's impressive about this, and I wondered if it was a tough sell, is that you do have so many individual markets participating because we are constantly in the middle of conversations and trying to push our viewpoint that y'all, we're not competing with our fellow markets. We're competing with the big box grocery store down the street. But there is a lot of sense between markets that, oh, well, we're competing with that market that's on Tuesday. Our Thursday market competes with them. Do we want to be involved in a program that gives certificates to somebody, but it might not encourage him to come to our market? It might encourage him to go to this other market. Do you have to negotiate any of that, or it sounds like your folks are just pretty cooperative and understand the value without getting into that?
Well, the offer was never, will you do, like, there was never an option for a market to say, we'll do it if they don't do it. It was like, if you don't want to participate in this program, these gift certificates will go to other
Yeah,
markets. So,
yeah. So
yeah, I think because the statewide association was managing it from the start, it was an opt-in, no opportunity for
yeah.
for competing. One thing, a cool facet, like with the city of Bangor. So on the back of this voucher, because we give it out statewide, there's a QR code and there's a simple URL that lists the
Oh, handy.
markets. But for the city of Bangor voucher, it lists the 6 markets, their time and their address on the back. So it's yeah, I can't think of a better promotion than putting free money in people's hands to go spend at a farmer's market. And you were talking about it, Kat, right? Like just the behavior change, the incentive. Like I've lived in places where I don't wake up on a Saturday morning and think about, oh, like I got to go shopping at the farmer's market in this 4-hour window. And now they have something to lose, right? Like
Yeah.
now they have just something to get them there. And then hopefully the market it's really like we can only get people there. Like the market is what sells people on coming back. And
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just amazing to me. I wonder if companies are looking upon this as they do some workplace wellness programs where if they incorporate that kind of thing, they can get a lower rate on health insurance that they're giving to their employees, that kind of thing. I feel like there's some incentives with some of the big insurance companies for this kind of thing.
It's a good the way you framed it, I can't really speak to like, but if it's lowering costs, but I do know that like for City of Bangor and for other big employers that are participating, it is funded through the health insurance package that like, an employer pays whatever X amount of dollars and a small cut of that is reserved for their wellness activities. And it's a whole industry, workplace wellness. And yeah, so far when this program has been pitched to, right, like, so like oftentimes an employer will have a wellness committee, which is headed by their HR person, but usually also includes just like random, like in the city of Bangor, it might be like somebody in their, like on the police force, or it could be like any city employee that just wants to serve on this committee to help steer how wellness activities are funded and where they go. Like those people kind of pitch to the health insurer. They have a contact at the health insurance company that is their like wellness representative, and that's how they get it approved. So for the city of Bangor, we work with a lot of
Oh,
municipalities now. That's actually, if you're looking for, tips for like who to approach first, I've been surprised. You'd think that they're pretty bureaucratic and slow in decision making, but at least in Maine, there's a Maine Municipal Association that probably has helped a lot of municipalities connect with health insurance options that also have these like wellness benefits. So it's kind of like success has bred success with working with municipalities, the word's getting out among them.
yeah, it's amazing. So, is there any cost to either the markets? Well, let me think about what my real question is. Who's paying for all this? That's my real question. So, does it cost the markets anything to participate in this other than the postage that they put on that envelope when they mail you certificates? Is there a fee for you to manage it? And is there a fee for the employer or the
Mm,
purchaser to participate?
I am a terrible capitalist. So it was funded from 2020 to 2023 by USDA FMPP grant that covered our staff time, covered the branding and development. Go to our website, you'll see a nice website there. So it really catalyzed this program for us, and just shout out to that grant and USDA AMS, the people there that helped just make it easy for us to run and operate. Um, so this is really the first year we're flying solo without a backing grant. I am hoping that we can continue to some degree find just like bigger grants or sponsors. I am so open to ideas. Getting to your question, we don't charge markets anything right now. As a federation, as a statewide association, we have a membership program. And this year is the first year we're still really building out what a paid membership means with MFFM. But this year, if a market contributed to us, then that would afford them real estate on the back of the voucher. That would have, we were only listing markets on the back of vouchers that are contributing members to MFFM. Are we policing that well? I don't know. But so there's like some ideas in the works, and then with employers, there's a form that they all fill out to join, and it asks them, like where are we shipping it, who's our contact, and there's a question in there that we capitalize the word voluntary still because we just don't want to deter small employers. I definitely think that they probably all should be paying a small fee, but right now we just say, do you want to opt into a voluntary 5% fee of vouchers redeemed? Um, and I would say about 60 to 70%
Oh,
say
that's
yes.
good.
I will say, like this program as a nonprofit ED that does fundraising, like this program has forged relationships. I can name two. Maine Beer Co. is a brewery that's been giving it away to their employees since 2021. Um, it allowed for a relationship develop where I was like, hey, I know you do charitable giving. Can I talk to you about our low income food access programming? And that led to a pretty good sponsorship check for that program. So like it's like if your organization has like a business partnership program, or staff person, like bumper crop is, you could just think of bumper crop as a business partnership program, right?
Yeah, so it's sort of a marketing tool in addition to
Mhm.
everything else, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, the how we're funding it right now, we have some really large employer partners this year who have committed to service fees, and and then there's the smaller ones, that are opting into, yes, 5% fee, but even if that's, might be $50 if there's $1,000 transacted. So it's not fully funded right now, and yeah, we're exploring. We're trying to get another grant, and it's also, this program is now being developed in New York. The New York Federation of Farmers Markets, we're talking with them. No for Vermont is piloting it. Mass Farmers Markets we're talking with them about it. So I'm really hoping that there's just future collaborative grant proposals submitted soon that we can be a part of, and yeah, I'm really open to ideas. And I do see, Bill at Mass Farmers Markets like has a great brochure that I can share with you, and they're really expecting money upfront in like a mandatory service
Yes.
fee. And for us, I don't. Maybe I'm too nice. Maybe I'm a bad capitalist, but also like in Maine, it's just smaller. It's smaller fish, and it can be a lot to ask when they're already, a lot of employers are just doing it out of their marketing budget or out of like a business owner's little kitty fund that they have for like giving back to their employees.
Mm.
It's kind of you to do it on that basis.
Yes.
I have a question about so what do you do a credit application? I mean, if you're not charging them to the end of the season, have you gotten to I don't know, you've been doing this for a few years. Anybody ever gotten to the end of the season and they've gone out of
No,
business or they just haven't
no,
paid you or
That's a
any of
bad
that?
PR if
no.
you're not paying the farmer's market,
That's true. I mean,
gift
that would
I
definitely
know.
certificate.
make
Yeah.
you look like an evil person,
Terrible
right?
optics. Yes.
I know. No, yeah. I mean, maybe it's I mean, I don't recommend this if you're in a bigger like area, but like yeah, it's been very trust based, which has worked, which has served us
Yeah.
well so
Great.
far.
That's wonderful.
And then the last thing, it sounds
Yeah.
like so you don't do any of this digitally, right? This is all analog. You're actually physically mailing coupons to somebody, the employer or whoever, and folks are mailing coupons to you and checks, not Zelle, no digital action.
So our printer is mailing them. We do, we edit this bumper crop graphic in Canva. We're switching out the employer code, and we're switching out, there's a sponsored, like the employer's logo goes on the voucher as well. And then on the back, if it's an employer that's place-based, we'll have a list of the markets, as I've mentioned before. So we quickly just whip that up in Canva. We have so many vouchers at this point. Like last year, there were 75 employers participating. So it's like another employer in the Augusta area joins, like it's like, oh, let's copy this other Augusta voucher and just switch out the sponsor and the code. So we send that to our printer, who we work exclusively with one printer, so they know the deal. They custom number them, and then we tell them where to mail it to. They mail it to them. Um, so, and then yeah, in terms of, so it's like both digital and analog. The markets are collecting the vouchers from their vendors when they're spent, and they're reporting through a Google form. So we get the information digitally back in terms of redemption by employer, redemption by market. Our payment systems, it's like QuickBooks connected to a third-party payment processor. So we're not even sending the checks anymore. We have a lot of markets or vendors, it's an ACH deposit, or we use this platform called CorePay, which I don't fully endorse it.
Okay.
um, that has been convenient for us, but there's a lot out there, like I think Bill.com and even QuickBooks, can cut checks for you now, but it's definitely saving us a lot of time to not have to fold envelopes
So
and
you're
sign
not doing it.
checks.
Yeah, it's not that
Yeah,
analog. So when you say the
it's
market's
not that
entering
analog.
this information on a Google sheet, you're not making them physically produce. Again, kind of trust-based thing. You assume that if they say they got 50, you
I
got
know.
50, right?
Yep, exactly. What we ask of them is every time they report to bundle their vouchers they've just submitted to us, put a date on it, and then just sit on it until the end of the season. If there ever were to be an employer that says, I question what you're billing us, and this has never happened, And, because like redemption rate for employers ranges from, it can be like 20 to 30%, which it can be hard to tell. If I had a full-time person running this program, I would expect better, more solid data. But like some employers, the redemption rate might only be 20%. And there's a question like, did they even give out the full amount of vouchers that they ordered? Right. So say they ordered 100 vouchers and 20 come back. It's like, that's 20% of what you ordered, but did you actually give out all 100 vouchers? We don't know and don't have the time or energy to figure that out. But I think employers are trusting of us a lot because we've never, like we're never billing for how many they order because they're never all fully spent. But there again, like there are some program challenges here. Like a lot of employers want this whole partnership to be tied to a calendar year or their fiscal year. Like we've worked with Maine Health, our largest employer, who would have individual departments sign up and they would only give $5 because of just reasons we could get into. They would only give $5 to an employee. And the expiration date on those vouchers was like 9/15, September 15th, because their fiscal year ends at the end of September, and they need to firmly know the numbers from me by the end of September. I don't really recommend doing that. Like for most employers, it's end of the year, and we're just like, we need your trust and support that like what really happens is vouchers continue to come in at winter markets in January and February. So it's like, here's your final invoice, quote unquote, and then like we'll be in touch in March if any more trickle
Oh,
in.
that's good. So, yeah, I was wondering how you managed it if you got to the end of a season, you've only paid for the redeemed, but, that employee finds them in an envelope in the back of their drawer and says, "Oh, cool, I'll go into the farmer's market now," but you're already kind of wrapped up. Those are still, you just assume that you can bill them and they'll still pay.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And we do have a lot of retention year to year, which anybody that's trying to build this program, it's like year one, we had, I wrote some of this down. Like in 2019, it was just the city of Bangor. In 2020, the first year of our grant, it was 3 employers, and that had a lot to do with COVID. We were just like, we're not, even though it turns out that like employee wellness and employee and shopping outside. I mean, all of this, it was good timing in some ways. In 2021, we had 23 employees, 2022, we had 48. And like each year, like 70 to 80% employers from the previous year stayed
Oh,
on,
wow.
which is
That's
sign,
amazing.
yeah, sign of,
Yeah, so it's a good sign that it's working. Yeah, and they're enjoying it and probably that their employees are happy with the program and grateful for it.
yeah. I do want to call out too, like, I think we should keep talking about the employer program, but we also now just sell bumper crop on our website. So you could,
Oh, yeah, I'd like to hear more about
yep,
that.
if you
Mhm.
were moving to, you're moving. So, Pat, if you know somebody in Maine that you want to give bumper crop to, you can go on our website, order it, tell us where to ship it. And in that case, it is more like a liability to like you're buying the gift
Mhm.
certificates outright. So, and all it is it's a different code. The code is GC gift certificate. So the farmer doesn't know one voucher from another. We just know exactly when the code is reported back to us, what it's for and where it's from. So it's been a great way for us to, I mean, we give a lot of them away for different, for Farmers Market Week, we're reaching out to libraries and we're sending them $500 to give, and we're targeting markets that don't have a lot of bumper crop activity right now because we have 55 signed up, but like a vast, because of the Bangor partnership and the momentum there's a lot that's spent in the Bangor area. So we're like, trying to spread the love. But yeah, selling the gift certificate has just been a great way to engage directly with shoppers. We're so behind the scenes a lot of the time as the federation with these programs. So yeah, it's been great. And yeah, this year we've already had about $5,000 in gift
To
certificate
individuals,
sales, which
just
is
that's the
awesome.
gift certificates, not the employer
Yeah,
thing.
to
That's awesome.
individuals.
Can they
Yep.
buy them at markets?
Yeah.
Do the participating markets sell them?
Yes, they do. Only a handful right now. And that's something with info booths and us just trying to make the most out of them. We're hoping to see more of. But yeah, so like Portland Farmers Market has their own stack of bumper crop. Plenty of people are buying them there. So my numbers don't even include like other markets and how they sell them. We have a farmer snake root farm up at the Waterville Farmers Market. When people sign up for his CSA, he gives them $20 in bumper crop. That's like part of their CSA bonus, which is cool. Um, And there's just, I could speak a lot to, there's so many like unexpected surprises with bumper crop. The real catalyst was, for like how this program took off in Maine. And I think any state that wants to do this is going to have similar success stories. Of course, we had the city of Bangor from the start, and they were giving out 15 like to $30,000 each year, which is awesome, and just a lot of vouchers in circulation, and really just meaningful for markets to see a good amount of them come in. We also had a partnership from a businessman named Adam Lee, who runs Lee Auto Mall. So in 2021, he ordered $20,000 of bumper crop, and he gave them to Maine Public Radio. So in May, for a new member drive, Maine Public Radio was talking about farmers markets for 3 days. I gave them like 3 pages of talking points, just like shout out this market, shout out that market. And just like all day long, they're like, we still got bumper crop gift certificates to give away. And like, we hear that the Skowhegan market's a great
Ah,
place to go to sell. It's just so cool. And like really, I mean, so like never mind the bumper crop giveaway of $20,000, just 3 days of people talking about farmers markets on a pretty popular radio station was incredible. One year, a different auto mall, coincidentally, Darlings, they made a television commercial about it. And they had like a summer Eat Local campaign where if you bought a car within these 2 months, you got like $40 in bumper crop, which I wouldn't say is
Small percentage of a car, but still cool.
it's a thought that
I
counts.
mean, yeah, yeah, Darlings is a great partnership as well. They aired television ads across Maine that were like, I was in one of the ads, and it just had like real farmers market footage and just, people on television talking about farmers markets, which was great.
I would think maybe realtors could be a good source to give
Mhm.
to people that are just buying houses, maybe give it
I
to them for the
know,
people in their area or
Mhm.
hotels. I think you promote it to Airbnb
totally.
hosts, right?
Yeah, so our website copy does. We've yet to, but it's totally an untapped world. It's really like, we've just been growing this program with me and one other teammate, both of us working very part-time on it, just juggling all the other things with the Federation. And I will give a shout out, when we wrote this grant, I collaborated with MOFGA, the Maine Organic Food and Gardeners Association. Um, they helped me just like review the grant proposal because it was my first time writing a big federal grant. And then they also, because they're the organic certifier for the state, they had so many business relationships. So they were super helpful in getting a percentage of the employers to join each year, just getting their attention so that we could make the pitch for them.
It's
Nice.
amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I'm just like spinning all these ideas in my head, like what we can do. And I really feel like this is such a great thing for like a state association, which is sounds like how you're functioning. That's a real like tangible thing and resource to do for the local farmers markets. I mean, that is really what these like associations should be doing is things like this because you're bringing actual customers to the market and having them experience that in person because there's so much that you can do and talk about markets and talk about the benefits of markets and help markets do their marketing and things like that. But this is actually bringing like people to the market. And that is in the end the most important thing to do. So what a great resource you're giving all these markets. It's
Yeah, that's
awesome.
probably an exciting outcome from joining your state
Mm-hmm.
federation, whereas a lot of times that's sort of esoteric. It's like, yeah, I'm going to join my association and they're going to advocate for me at the state when we have COVID protocols. But,
Yeah.
the rest of the time, what'd you do for me lately? But
Yeah.
this is like such an obvious,
Yes.
really proactive program that,
Yeah.
is bringing them more money and bringing more money to the farmers. And, that's the whole goal.
What a great program. It sounds like you guys are doing such a great job there. Um, what's next for this program? Are you looking to expand? It sounds like your hands are really full, so I hate to even
Let's go
ask.
national. Let's have a
Yeah.
national bumper crop
Let's go
program.
national. I mean, are you looking to
Grant
train any other
application.
state associations to do this? Because I can think of some that would love that. But yeah, anything kind of on the burner that's ready to go for the program?
I've got some numbers to share. So let's make sure that's just putting a pin on that. But this year I mentioned is our first year going unfunded with bumper crop. We kind of put out the normal call to like all of our existing employers. And there was a conversation I had with a specific employer. Um, last year and was like exciting to, and it was a big employer, and it was exciting to connect with them and pitch it to their team. And I hadn't heard from them since. And then in January, they reached out, and um, I will say between them and a few other big employers, we tripled the size of bumper crop this year just from 3 employers alone. So we, like in middle of June, we mailed out bumper crop to over 14,000 people in Maine, over $200,000 just in that one mailing. So that was awesome and made our work of operating bumper crop this year easy, because we just haven't done a lot of recruitment at all. So just wanting to call that out. So yeah, results are to be determined on how that all goes, but just a really exciting situation that happened there. I did mention, so we're talking with folks at NOFA Vermont and in New York, and also in Massachusetts. Also an organization in New Hampshire, like it's kind of our like regional network that we all already brush shoulders with other programming. They're all exploring bumper crop. And I'm just happy to be of service to them. Part of our FMTP was that we would produce a toolkit, and I'm kind of considering the toolkit to be a living, evolving document. There isn't an actual toolkit right now, but there's like all the there's me, and there's a lot of just the templates and resources at our disposal. So would really love to see bumper crop grow in other areas, which I'm sure will just then come back to us as just word of this employer partnership grows and in other places, right? And makes headlines in other places. I think it'll come back and benefit us. And yeah, otherwise, there's conversation about a digital option for bumper crop, which um I wouldn't say I'm working. Jack Riffle at New York Federation of Farmers Markets is really taking the lead on, and he's found some pretty slick ideas. I definitely will drag my feet on it until Maine farmers say we want. But Jack in New York is processing millions of dollars of tangible vouchers for like WIC and other programs, so I can understand where he's coming from. Whereas for us, it's decentralized; the markets are processing it. But there could be a day if bumper crop, grows and grows. It's absolutely a digital solution may be more compelling in Maine. Yeah, my focus right now is like trying to explore revenue models. The gift certificate that I was mentioning of selling it on our website, we're kind of hoping that takes off a bit more, and those unspent funds are a liability ultimately, but over time could be a way to raise money. Plus just like engaging, like having the mailing addresses and emails of the shoppers who are buying them, just like connecting more, and like really reaching out to the business community that we're partnered with bumper crop, trying to find more ways for them to sponsor us and support other work that we're doing, including bumper crop itself. So yeah, really just trying to think about there's no core strategy right now, and we're hoping that there'll be another state or federal grant to support it too. Yeah, just thinking of ways to diversify the funding sources for the program and see it sustain itself, or just be like a really critical part of our development strategy as a nonprofit for fundraising across the board.
I feel like it could be self-supporting with the kind of numbers you're talking about. I mean, just, the
Yeah,
confidence to just not make it an optional thing, but say, hey, there's a processing fee because everybody in the world
of
pays
course.
processing fees and shipping fees and things. And my guess is you wouldn't actually get that much resistance
Yeah, I
from the
mean,
employers for that.
you're doing the admin work for them in order to be able to offer this program. So it's just kind of increased fee on that.
And
Yep.
and my guess is, I mean, I'm sure it's hard to measure. You might just ask casually for anecdotal testimonial kind of things, but I'll bet that there are some unintended consequences, or maybe not necessarily verified consequences that are happening in terms of employee retention and lowering employee absenteeism because they're eating healthier food, and certainly creating a situation where your employees feel good about working for you.
Yeah.
It seems like there would be a lot of pluses for the employers.
And just people feeling connected to their community, especially if they're these big corporate businesses who maybe move people to the Maine or wherever neighborhood they're in, and so they don't feel very connected to their community. This is a great way to really get those employees kind of embedded into their new community where they live, and that helps with retention for sure when you're talking about bringing in folks to work for you. So just so many benefits in so
Yeah.
many different ways
Yeah.
you could think about it, I feel like, for a long time.
And of course, the giant benefit, which is more money to farmers. So
Yeah.
farmers keep farming, which is, really
Totally.
our end goal for all of us, I think.
That's a benefit to humanity. So
That's
thank
right.
you so much.
Thank you very much, Maine Farmers Market
Just
Federation.
the world in general.
Did you say you had some numbers you wanted to share?
Yeah. These employer examples you're giving, like Portland Food Co-op and another grocer in Bangor, Tiller and Rye, like they give it to their employees and see the value of like, go meet the farmers that we buy from, go meet the farmers that we source from, right? Like it's really interesting the why behind their engagement. And we do at the end of each season an employee survey.
Oh.
So over the past 3 years, we've had over 400 responses, and each year they're pretty consistent. And like so on the wellness front, the big question we should ask a question about retention, like would you be more likely to stay? It's all self-reporting, right? But like, so I don't know if it's a perfect social science experiment, but like just asking them, would they be willing to stay? Like, does this type of benefit make them value their work more or something? That would be a cool question to ask. But question we do ask is, this summer, are you eating more fruits and vegetables, like because of how this program introduced you to farmers markets? And like 63% say yes to that. We ask them, the day you went to market with your bumper crop, did you spend your own cash? 90% of respondents say yes to that. We ask, because of bumper crop, do you shop more often at farmers markets without the vouchers? And 40% say yes to that. Over 50 report visiting a market for the first time. So maybe they've been to farmers market before, but they're going to a new one. In 2023, there were 75 employers we know that 2,500 shoppers used bumper crop that year. There was, and of that, we estimate there was 150,000 in circulation and 63,000 were redeemed. So the redemption rate was lower. But the circulation estimate is definitely tied to what they order. As I mentioned, we don't know how much was actually given out. But when we get those survey responses, and we're hearing like from 40, when we ask, did you shop more often at farmers markets without the vouchers? We ask them to estimate how much they spent. So then we're getting a range of like these people that we caused behavior change for, like what is that financial impact on the markets? And to make a longer story short, like we think easily over $200,000 in additional sales. So like 63K was from bumper crop, but another 200 in total, like was due to bumper crop when, for the like cash and credit card transactions that we can never trace.
Amazing.
So
wow.
Yeah, the surveying really helps convey a fuller picture of the financial impact of bumper crop on the community.
Incredible.
Which is great. We even asked them, we're like, did you just like we tried to dig out all the bragging rights we can. We're like, did you bring a friend not in your household to the farmer's market, and did they spend their own money? And like 30% say, you brought me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love it.
Wow. I love this program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
Let's do it.
And you got a grant to do it.
Yeah.
That's a vetted grant proposal.
Yes.
all of y'all out there thinking about something to apply and put for FMPP money with. I mean, this sounds like the most winning proposal and idea ever.
Yeah.
Amazing concept.
Amazing.
Anything else we should have asked you?
There's a handful of things I wanted to make sure I mentioned.
Great.
Yep.
Go.
Just that you were talking about how, like, as a state association, this is like really conveying value to the market community, and I just definitely agree with that. And MFFM for so long was focused on low income food access, and like bumper crop. And I think in the slides that I shared with you, like more than in the city of Bangor, we surveyed over 100 city of Bangor employees that participated, and like 60% of them had incomes higher than the median household income in Maine. So like we know this program is reaching mixed incomes and higher incomes. So I wanted to mention that. And
Which I feel
what
like
else
is
was
also
it?
important too, because I think when we think of these like nutrition incentive programs or any or gift certificate programs, we're thinking that we're helping folks who maybe need, a boost with their grocery bill or need assistance buying groceries. But it's also important to get the people who have the money to spend regularly, a lot of money at the market, to get them to the market because they'll just come once the bumper crop certificates are out, or they spend the ones that their employer gives them, or then they're regular shoppers and they're spending their money at the market with these small businesses and small farmers. So not forgetting about those folks as well. So
Totally.
that's great data to have
Yeah, and
also.
yeah, and we get, we'll do a post about Maine harvest bucks, and inevitably, occasionally, somebody is like, "Well, like, what about for me? What about for, a working person?" And we get to like retort. We're like, "Oh, tell your employer about bumper
Yeah.
crop." Um, and then, I just did want to call out. I mean, I think this is better for like a full presentation somewhere on bumper crop, but like vendor education, right? Like we do hear every year of like, I tried to spend it with this vendor at this market and they didn't know
Hmm.
about it. Which I think is common among currency programs. And we don't make change. It's a $5 voucher. Employers don't want their employees getting
Oh, I
cash
was going to
change
ask you
back
about that. Yeah,
and
thanks.
Mm.
printing. Yep. So like it's a tip for the farmer, or a lot of farmers know like, all right, like what is my $2 item to throw in like some garlic bulbs or something. Um, but we stand by keeping it in one single denomination just for the sake of counting and reporting. Um, and yeah, the expiration dates I mentioned, and then yeah, the other two are, yeah, I already called out, just the unreported vouchers from markets. They come in late, they come in past expiration dates. And the undistributed vouchers by employers. Like if we had a full-time staff, we would definitely be following up with employers and making sure they're giving it all out. And we try to do that to some degree. We'll send, like a July, like we'll hit up every employer that's participating and say, here's your redemption, here's where it's happening. And like one employer will reach like 15 different markets, like just based on where they are and how much they're giving out and where their
Wow.
employees are based.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I bet vendor education is really key as well. I mean, I just run two markets in the same location and have basically the same vendors there. I deal with about 250 different vendors, but
A lot.
it's like we have EBT, Market Match, and a gift card. And it's like they can't figure it out. They're like, they'll be like, what is this gift card? I'm like, I've told you about this 800 times. I've emailed you so many times. So, I mean, yeah, I can definitely
Totally.
understand that. And I'm always like haranguing them. And some vendors are like, we get it. We know what it is. I'm like, well, tell your neighbor because
Mhm.
they told this shopper that they've never seen that before in their life. So, yeah, but it's just, I mean, those little things that you don't think about. So that's the administrative work that you're doing as well. So definitely in favor of that mandatory 5% fee.
Vendor education is good. This has been great. Anything else?
I would also love to just chat with you for like 5
Yeah.
more hours, but
Right, yeah. Now, this sounds
It's fascinating to
fascinating.
me.
I
Yes. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, we really appreciate it, and we hope we talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Talk to you soon. Thanks for listening today, and big thanks to American Farmland Trust for supporting small farmers and ranchers, preserving land for the next generation, fostering awareness of farmers markets nationwide, and for supporting Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast, and the annual Intense Conference. For more information about their work, click the American Farmland Trust logo on the resource page at farmersmarketpros.com.
Thanks for listening to Tent Talk today. Please leave us a review on your podcast app or wherever you listen to Tent Talk. Let us and others know how you're enjoying the podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode of Tent Talk. Connect with fellow Farmers Market folks in our private Facebook group, the Farmers Market Pros Community, and follow us on Instagram at Farmers Market Pros. Find online education and other resources at farmersmarketpros.com. Tent Talk is brought to you by Farmers Market Pros, where passion meets profit. Tent Talk is hosted by Kat Fields White and Bridget Myers and produced by Leandra Hayes, with original music by David Mead. Tune in next week for another great episode.